You're listening to the Kasanova Podcast, bringing you the latest in gaming, politics, and other entertainment. Now here's your host, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber, Mekel Kasanova.
And welcome everyone to another episode of the Kasanova Podcast, the #1 syndicated podcast in the state of Hawaii. I'm your host, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber, Mekel Kasanova. I'm back at you with another amazing episode, another phenomenal interview. And this time I've got with me the voice of God, Richard Epcar himself, the man of over 500 voices. He's voiced Raiden from Mortal Kombat, Akuma from Street Fighter V. He's the voice of Seijuro Hiko from Rurouni Kenshin, and so many more, including the Joker from the Injustice series as well as the Infinite Crisis series. So if you guys are ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to interview this amazing guest. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this episode. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Kasanova Podcast, Hawaii's #1 podcast. This is your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I have with me the legendary Richard Epcar.
Hi.
Mr. Epcar, please introduce yourself to the audience, and it is such an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm Richard Epcar. For those who don't know who the hell I am, I'm the voice of Raiden in Mortal Kombat. I'm the voice of the Joker in several Batman games, including Injustice, Gods Among Us. I am, what else? I'm Akuma in Street Fighter V. I'm Joseph Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Jigen and Lupin the Third, and Bato and Ghost in the Shell, and 500 more different shows and characters.
Yep, you are truly the man of over 500 voices.
Yes, yeah, true.
All right, can you give us like a bit of a background on yourself? Of how you got into the industry, and different things you've done, from acting to voice acting to directing.
Well, I guess it. I've always wanted to be an actor. I think that started out when I was a little kid, and when I was in, first grade or kindergarten, I used to put on these little skits with my friends. So I was always really into to wanting to do something in this business. And when I went to college, my stepmom convinced me to go into commercial art because I was an okay artist, but she tried to dissuade me from going into show business because she thought it would be, a very tough road to hoe. And so I believed her for some silly reason. And then I went to the University of Arizona, and the art department was right next to the drama department. And one day they had an audition sign, so I went in there and auditioned for The Crucible and got the lead in it. And the dean of the drama department pulled me aside and said, "Hey, we'd like to have you." He said, "What's your major?" I said, "Commercial art." He said, "We'd like to have you as a performing arts major, and we'd like to put you on full scholarship. So how can you say no to that, right?" So
Wow.
And so I said, "Okay." So they paid for my tuition all 4 years, and I did plays, and I got into SAG doing some TV shows and some commercials there. And then I came out to LA, and I did a lot of soaps and television, and then my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, did some movie, and they had a movie that they had done that they weren't that crazy about the voices of the actors, so they had auditions. And she said, "Can I bring my boyfriend?" who was me. And I went there, and the guy said, "Have you done this before?" And I said, "Oh, I've done it a million times. I never did it before in my life." And I went in there, and I really took to it like a duck to water, because I'm also a drummer, and there's a lot of rhythm to dubbing in particular. So I did that and got the part, and then they really liked me and they had me back. I did a bunch of roles for them, and from that I got into Robotech, and then Robotech kind of blew up, and then I started doing Digimon and all these other shows, like every anime in the world came into L.A. I was on, and then I started doing the games, which was great, and I started directing all this stuff and writing the stuff, and so it's been really a lot of fun. I've been very, very fortunate. I've been working constantly for 30 plus years out here, and it's worked out very well for me.
That's amazing, man. It's it's really blowing my mind. Like, so many characters that, you know, I've grown up, because I'm an 80s baby, so I've grown up listening to you voice so many characters, like, over the years, from, you know, Seijuro Hiko from Rurouni Kenshin to, you know, Batsu from Ghost in the Shell. It's amazing. Like, being able to
mention Bleach and Naruto.
Yep.
And, Transformers, that's a huge one also. I got to mention, I also wrote a third of that series, Robots in Disguise, and played Armorhide in that. Wow. And then in the new Transformer movie game, I'm Skywarp in War for Cybertron. So that's, you know, I love being part of the Transformer universe.
That's amazing, man. I didn't even know that you got to write a third of it. Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff a lot of people don't know that I've done or that I'm involved with, because there's just so much stuff of it. You know, but it's been good. I've been, you know, I'm constantly busy. I'm constantly doing stuff, and right now I'm involved again with Lupin the Third. We just, you know, the first time I did it was about 12 some years ago. Mm-hmm. We did the Red Jacket series for Genion, and then it kind of came back to us in a weird way, and I got to do it again, and my wife co-directed it with me. We did the Blue Jacket series, and that was on Toonami and did really well. In fact, they're rerunning it right now. Oh, wow. And then we've got a bunch of other movies that we're going to be doing, Lupin movies, and another Lupin series. So we're very excited about that, and it's really nice to reunite with Jigen, who's one of my favorite characters.
Definitely. You know, since you've had such a legendary career and role in, like, numerous animes and video games, with your portrayal of characters from Batsu of Ghost in the Shell to Ansem and Terra-Xehanort and Kingdom Hearts to, you know, Raiden in Mortal Kombat and Akuma in Street Fighter V, you know, I have to ask, being known as the man of over 500 voices, how does it feel knowing that you've been able to impact and influence generations of fans from the 80s to the current day?
Well, that's nice to know. I don't really walk around thinking about that, but that's lovely to know. I mean, you know, we do conventions during the year, and it's really a great time for us to go and to meet people who, you know, and you do meet people that are impacted by your work, and it makes you feel good. I mean, I've had a lot of people come up and say, you know, I was going through a really rough patch, and, you know, this character really helped me a lot, and, you know, it makes you feel good. It's you know, it's nothing necessarily that we have control over, but it's nice to know that something that we were involved in, that we were creative with, actually helps somebody to get through. So that's kind of a nice thing. So that's, you know, obviously that's a good feeling.
Definitely. And, you know, one of the other things I want to ask, because I see it often when I've had other voice actors on here, from Dorothy Fawn to, you know, Michael T. Coleman and Griffin Burns. I've noticed that sometimes when you guys are credited in roles, you're having different names than your real name. Is that like a norm to have like a stage name for voice acting, or?
No, honestly, that's just it's a union, non-union thing, to be honest.
Oh.
You know, they don't, if they're working non-union, they don't want anyone to know they're working non-union. They might come up with a nom de plume, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
So that's really what that's about.
Okay. And what would you say, like, what is the process of becoming, you know, separate from voice acting, but, you know, and becoming an actor, and, you know, what have been some of your favorite roles to act as or act in?
Well, Raiden is one of my all-time favorite roles, because he's such a noble character, and I just really love him. He's a very powerful character, but yet he's very gentle, and but yet he's, you know, he's very convicted to what he believes in, and he's the protector of Earthrealm, and he just really would do anything for Earthrealm. And I love his commitment. I love his nobility. I love his honor. He has great honor. He's a wonderful character. And the flip side of that coin is the Joker, who's a lot of fun to play, but he's really a despicable character. But the fun thing about playing him is you can do anything and go crazy and just, do pretty much anything you want. But I mean, he really is. Raiden and Joker are like the yin and yang, and it's funny because, I've appeared in several games playing Raiden and the Joker together in those games, so it's kind of fun. One was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, and then recently we just had Injustice: Gods Among Us 2, where the Joker and Raiden are both in those games in that game. So that's fun. I mean, there's a lot of them. Bato is one of my favorites. He's another really strong character who's also noble and has a really wry sense of humor. And Jigen is another one of my favorite characters. He's really great. There's so many great ones. It's hard to name them all. There was a game I did years ago called Xenosaga. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Oh, I'm a huge Xenoverse fan. Like from Xenogears to Xenosaga to the current Xenoblade. Like I played them all. You were
nice.
You were Ziggy.
I was Ziggurat 8. I was Ziggy in that, and he was really a wonderful character to play because there was so much pathos in that character, and as an actor it was really fun to play him. He went through a lot, and he tried to kill himself, and they resurrected him and brought him back and made him do their bidding. So he was really fun to play as an actor. I really enjoyed that character. There's so many of them. There's the crazy teacher in GTO that I played who was really nuts. And it was really fun. I mean, and Bobo, I love playing him. He's a crazy character. These are fun characters because they're just so insane and just really fun to play them. But yeah, I get to play a variety of characters, which I'm really fortunate, and I love that. I love comedy. I love drama. I love doing it all, and I'm able to do both of them, which is great because a lot of people, they get pigeonholed as doing just comedy or drama, and so it's really nice to run the gamut. Yeah.
So you've been casting director for several shows from Vanillheart.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have to mention Ansem too, because the Kingdom Hearts fans would be very upset if I didn't mention Ansem. He's a huge character, and very well loved, and I really enjoy playing him as well. So I'm sorry. Go on to your question.
Oh no. I was gonna say, you've been casting director for several shows from Vanillheart's Flames of Judgment to Lupin III, and even Robotech and Crime Story. What was that process like?
Well, usually I'm the casting director of shows that I direct. So, I bring in people that I want to work with. I bring in people that I think are really good and do a nice job. And, and occasionally I try to help people and, try to open the door for them a little bit. But, honestly, it's a difficult thing. And I think a lot of the misstep that some actors make is that they are you there still?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Something happened on my phone.
Oh.
I think the misstep that they make is they try to go in when they're not ready. You know what I mean? And I think you really need to feel confident and well trained and like you're ready to go before you get in that booth. Because if you come in the booth and you don't do very well, unfortunately, we remember that, and it'll probably be a long time before you get a chance to go in there again. So I just think that people really need to feel like they're ready to do it when they go in, And that's the whole key. And honestly, with me, we have a company. My wife and I have a company called Epcar Entertainment. And we've been doing a lot of projects, and we always get these jobs where they need them in like 5 minutes. Like when we did Lupin, we had 3 weeks to do 26 episodes, which was ridiculous. I mean, we should have had 6 months to do it, and we really had to book on it. And that's why Ellen and I co-directed it, because we worked from 9 in the morning to 11 at night every day, and we were in 2 different studios, and that was the only way we could have finished it in time. So it was really nuts. But we have to go super fast. And the reason I bring this up is that, a lot of times when people are starting out and they're green, they're not very fast. And it's kind of hard to throw you in there and have you do it. And as much as I'd like to give everyone a chance, I'm kind of under the gun by the client to finish this stuff very quickly, So it's tough. But, that being said, I'm open to new people. I've worked with a lot of people that I don't know in the past. And, if somebody says to me, hey, this person's really good, give them a chance, I will, I certainly will. And I certainly don't have a problem with bringing people in for auditions, so, there's that. I don't want to take away all hope, but you can, it's tough, and it's a very competitive business. And for some reason, I think people think it's really easy to do, but it's not. It's not easy to do. And, I think a lot of people like to do it. I remember when Ellen and I used to go to these conventions, and Ellen would ask the audience, how many of you guys want to be actors? And a lot of hands would go up. And now when she asks the people, how many want to be actors? Not too many hands go up. But when she says, how many of you want to be voice actors? Like a lot of the hands go up. And I think people think that being an actor is much easier than being an actor. A voice actor is being much easier than being an actor. And I think that's it's kind of a fallacy in a way.
Wow. Why do you think why do you think people would think that though? Like that's interesting to hear.
I think people just think, oh, well, you just read the script. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to memorize it. And that part's true. You don't have to memorize it. And memorizing a part can be very difficult depending on the length of the script and how soon you have to have it done and that whole thing. I mean, listen, I've done a lot of on-camera stuff, so I completely understand that. But I just think they have it in their head that it's just not that. We make it look easy, so they think it's easy. But to really make it work and be believable and suck the audience in and bring those pages to life, it really is a lot of work, and you kind of have to know what you're doing. So
it's truly like you are truly a master of your craft. And
thank you. I appreciate that.
I greatly appreciate the work that you've done bringing all these different characters to life. And as one leading from being casting director to director, that was my second question. Was what is it like? Since you've been the director for like Lupin the Third and Rurouni Kenshin, like how was that? Because those are legendary franchises.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, basically the difference between acting and directing is when you're an actor, you go in and you do your piece of the puzzle. You create your character and you bring that character to life, and you're working with the director. But when you're the director, basically you're putting the puzzle together. It's your puzzle. So you're kind of putting the pieces together and making it work the way you want it to work. So, it's really kind of nice. I mean, I love doing both of the jobs. When I direct a lot, I really miss acting, and when I act a lot, I miss directing. The nice thing about directing is that you have control, and sometimes as an actor, you don't have control. I have to, defer to the director, and sometimes, being a director myself, I won't always agree with the director, but because they hired me to be the actor, you have to basically, have the director direct you. So, that can be tough sometimes. And it's nice when I get the opportunities to self-direct, which I really love, because then there's no argument at all. I know exactly what I want, and I work with the guy that I respect. So, so it works out well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you are the voice of the master of Kenshin Humura's of Rurouni Kenshin, Seijuro Hiko the 13th. Your portrayal of Hiko is legendary.
Thank you.
What was it like portraying him, and honestly, portraying the strongest character in Rurouni Kenshin? Because I feel like anyone else who's taken on the role as a voice actor, like they're good, but in my mind, and it's probably because I watched the I think it was Media Blasters dub. Because I watched that one first, I can only picture your voice as Hiko? Your portrayal as Hiko?
Where is Media Blasters? Where part of the country are they in?
I'm not too sure. Not too sure.
I don't know who they are, but I don't think they're in Los Angeles. I was going to say, why didn't they have me come back and reprise my role? But I'm hoping that if they do, I mean, I've heard rumors of a Hiko story coming down the pike that they may do, and I hope they remember and bring me back. It would be nice. I really liked the character. I thought he was really great, and he was a wonderful character. And I love playing those kinds of characters. The ones that are kind of teaching a student, and I just think it was really fun. I've done a few of those kinds of characters over the years. I was in Fighting Spirit. I played the coach in that, and he was a lot of fun. And I got to direct, talking about directing myself, I did that series and directed the series and played the coach in it and a few other characters. And that was fun. And, it was the same thing with Hiko. He's just a really, a fun character. You like to taunt, him and Kenshin, and he's, listen, it's kind of like the character. What is it, Ichigo? I'm trying to remember what the show is, but he's very similar to another character that I do. That's got kind of the same kind of thing. That he's teaching him, how to fight with a sword and all that stuff. So. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, they seem to think of me for these kinds of parts a lot, which is nice. I mean, they're fun parts to play.
I mean, it's your voice, because I remember like when you called me yesterday and we were, to set up. I was like, "Hello," you're like, "Mekel." I'm like, "Is this the voice of God?"
I think I scared the hell out of you. Actually.
Yeah, you did. I was like, "Did I do something?"
Yes, you did.
Oh, man. So, when you're selected for a role for a movie or anime or a video game, what is the process for you to get into the mind of the character to properly portray them?
Well, it depends on the media, or the medium, I should say. If it's a voice job, basically you just show up. On most games and most anime, you do not see the script until you're in the booth. So you there's no way to really prepare for that stuff. You just basically have to go there, and hopefully, if it's an original, recording where you're recording the stuff like we do for, let's say, Mortal Kombat, we go in and we record the tracks, and then they animate to our voices. So if you're going and doing something like that on a game, then you hope that they have a picture of the character, because once I see a picture of the character, I'm going to know what he's going to sound like, because I can just look at the character and then I'll come up with a voice that I feel would come out of that character's mouth. Okay. And that's just from experience and doing this for so many years that I can just look at something and get an idea what he sounds like. If you're going for an on-camera thing, that's a whole different thing, and you have to prepare and you have to learn your lines and you have to do all that stuff, and it's a little more involved. But I do really enjoy the immediacy of voice acting, because you basically are thrown in there and you have to cold read a performance, which is no small feat, and it's really difficult for a lot of very famous actors. They can't do it. I've directed a lot of them, and they're not very good. Some of them that come in and try to do it, because it's just not their forte. It's a different style of acting. It's like somebody saying, "Well, I'm a dancer. I'm really good at kabuki dancing." Well, that doesn't mean you would make a good ballerina. You know what I mean? It's a different style, and voice acting and on-camera acting are very different styles of acting. And I don't think the producers always get that. The clients don't get it, because they always ask me to hire these guys who are, they're well-known celebrities, but yet they're not really voice actors. So it doesn't necessarily behoove their project to bring these guys in, but they want them for their marquee value.
Yeah.
But it's it's different. It's a different style, and it's a different thing. And I try to work with those guys and help them. And I think voice acting is more akin to theater acting, which I also do. And I enjoy all the different styles of acting, and it's really fun. It really is fun. I was going to say, I think the biggest difference between the on-camera stuff and the voice acting is most of the on-camera stuff you're basically relegated to the way you appear, whereas the voice acting stuff you can pretty much do anything that you can create in your mouth. You know what I'm saying, or any voice that you can create. So I could play characters that don't look anything like me, but I can play characters that do look like me. But I'm just saying it's almost more creative in certain ways. You know what I mean?
That's fun. So do you like? Since I know you're very well versed in acting. How are you with improv acting? Because I can picture you being phenomenal with that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with that, and I always like to do those kinds of things. You know, it's really fun. And we do a lot of we do a lot of improving in the studio at times, and I have a whole panel of outtakes that I do at conventions when I go to conventions of some of the outtakes that we do, and those are all improv, you know, and they're fun. And I love the thing of doing improv. It's really great.
You know, that's actually like when I was in college. It seems like a decade ago. When I was in college, I used to do a lot of. I actually got shoehorned into theater, and I had no acting experience. But I guess because I'm very spontaneous, and they put me in roles where I could improv, and I'm like, I love this. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's really fun. It's fun to do that.
Definitely. So I wanted to ask you, also, you know, you truly have brought the Joker to life in the Injustice series and other, you know, from Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe and many other mediums. Given that he has been voiced for so long by Mark Hamill, what were some of your steps that you took to not only preserve the legacy of the character, but also put your own spin on the character to make him your own?
Well, the thing that I did to make it my own is, you know, this is true. People don't believe me because when I first did the Joker in Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, everyone accused me of trying to sound like Mark, which I thought was kind of funny because this is absolutely true. I've never heard Mark's Joker to this day.
Wow.
I have not heard Mark's Joker, and I know it's great, and I know people love it, but I purposefully do not want to hear it right now because I don't want to be influenced by what he does, and. You know, the thing with this character, he's a very iconic character, and I do get asked this question quite a bit. But you know, you have to realize that the Joker's an iconic character, and Batman's an iconic character. Several actors have played Batman, and several actors have played the Joker. And you know, when Mark and I are gone, there's going to be actors playing the Joker. It just, you know, he's one of those great characters, and I think it's, you know, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to play him. He's a really fun character and a very iconic character, and it's really nice to play someone like that. And I really enjoy playing him. He's really, you know, a very interesting character. But like I say, you know, I think that everybody, you know, everyone, you know, look at all the Bonds we've had. We've had 6 different Bonds, and they've all done a job. They've all, you know, they're different. And some people have their favorites, and that's fine. That's to be expected. But I think they've all done a nice job, and they've all made the character their own. And I think that's what a good actor does. A good actor does not try to play another actor playing a character. A good actor plays the character, and that's what I'm doing with the Joker.
And you're doing phenomenally well.
Oh, thank you.
I love your portrayal.
I appreciate that tremendously. Believe me, I would love to do a lot more of him. I got to do him recently for of all things, an amusement park in Dubai. They're doing a big. It's called Joker's Fun House, and they're going to be building this big ride, this big, you know, Joker Batman ride, and it looked great, and it was fun. I got to work with Tara Strong, who does Harley, and Kevin Conroy does the Batman. So it was a great cast, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And you know, I look forward to that. I said to them, "Are you going to fly us over there so we can see?" He said, "No, you got to get over there yourself." I said, "Okay." That would have been fun to go to Dubai and see the ride, you know.
I hear it's beautiful over there, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm just saying, it's fun. And I did him for Infinite Crisis. I played the Joker on that, and a couple little things here and there. But I would love to, I'd love to do an animated series doing him. I would really love that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I would love that. So hopefully we'll see. I actually am playing Commissioner Gordon right now on a thing called Batman Unlimited, which is a animated film series that Warner Brothers is doing, and it's kind of fun. I didn't get a chance. See, it's whenever you switch, casting directors or groups or whatever, they always have their own group that they go with. But I didn't even get a chance to audition for the Joker for that. I would have liked to have done that, but I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, I got to hear your take on Commissioner Gordon. I was like, that's Richard? I was like, what? Man.
I'm all over that Batman universe.
Yeah,
The next thing I want to do, I want to play Batman, so we'll see what happens.
You should. I would love to hear that.
Thank you. Me too.
Oh, man. So do you ever get to work with anime studios or film studios or gaming companies directly for projects that you're part of, such as companies like Square Enix or Capcom or Bandai or Funimation?
Well, a lot of times, I've worked with Funimation. I did when they did the woman called Fujiko Mine. They flew me in, and I normally do Jigen, but they were very sweet actually, and they wanted me to be involved with it because I've been involved with just about all the Lupin since the beginning, and they wanted me to play Zenigata, which I thought was kind of weird at first because the Zenigata in our movies he's always so crazy and zany, and I just thought, well, that's kind of a weird thing. But I don't know if you saw A Woman Called Fujiko Mine, but it's very dark.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
So they said, well, no, you'll be a good fit for this Zenigata because in this series he's very dark and the whole thing is very dark. So I thought, okay, and I did, and they were lovely. Couldn't have been nicer to me over there, and so I worked with them, and they were great. And they had me do a bunch of other stuff while I was there. I worked on Smite while I was there, that game, and played Poseidon in that. So yeah, they were wonderful, and that was thanks to Chris Sabat, who does the voice of Jigen for the Texas cast. So yeah, he was really nice in bringing me in, and I really appreciated him doing that. But as far as the other companies, I have worked, depending on the company. When I first started doing Kingdom Hearts, we had people there from Disney and Square Enix, and when we did, when I do it, it depends on the part, and it depends on how early it is into the thing. When I directed Blue Dragon, for example, they had the creator there with me the whole time, and they had guys from Microsoft and all that. So
you got to work with Tetsuya Nomura.
The guy who created
Hironobu Sakaguchi. He actually lives out here in Hawaii. I was shocked to find that out.
Well, the other guy who put it together, his name is Roy. I can't remember his last name, but he lives in Hawaii also, and he's a super nice guy. And all those guys came in, and they were wonderful. It was really great to work with them. And I get an opportunity to work with a lot of wonderful people and a lot of celebrities and different people like that, different companies. And we've our company's worked with everybody, and I've been hired by DreamWorks and Universal Pictures to go all over the world and supervise for them. So I've done a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff involving this business. It's really been interesting, and I've if I was just an actor, I don't think I would have been able to do all this wonderful stuff. So it's been really great.
It's amazing to see how voice acting has just skyrocketed, going from the 80s till now.
Yeah. It's really something. I know, and everybody and their brother wants to do it now. It's kind of crazy.
Because I remember when I had Dorothy Fawn on a couple of weeks ago, I asked her, I was like, when you first got into voice acting for anime, did you think it was going to explode into what it is now? She's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah. She's a doll. I love Dorothy, and I work with her whenever I can. And we did a wonderful thing together called Dogs in Space. It was a Russian animated feature. I do the voice of JFK in it, and I directed it. And and she plays this dog who's one of the dogs that goes to outer space, and it's a really and I also play another character in it, their trainer, the dog. He's a German Shepherd, and it was really fun. It was really fun to do that. And speaking of JFK, I'm actually in a new project. I don't know if I can talk about it. I won't give you the title, but it's a brand new animated project by a very, very famous film director who did this. He did this thing himself. He wrote it and he animated it himself. It's incredible, and I play JFK in it. I do the voice of. So yeah, it was really quite an honor to work on that.
Definitely will be keeping my eyes open for this project.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really cool. So it's been good.
When it comes to like voicing Ansem and Terra-Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts, how did it feel to land the role of one, or more correctly, two of the main characters and antagonists of the series, and what challenges did you face and overcome?
Well, this is a really funny story. So Billy Zane did the first one. He was Ansem in the first game, and then for whatever reason, whether he did not want to do it or they did not want him to do it, whatever the reason was, he was only going to do one, I guess. So the way they found me was the guy who does the voice of Ansem in Japan does the voice of Bateau in Ghost in the Shell.
Oh,
so they asked the Japanese producers asked Disney, who does the voice of Bateau in America, and they said Richard Epcar. So they hired me. Now, I've done over 500 characters, and I think I can count on one hand the times I've been hired without auditioning, believe it or not. So they hired me, which was great. Now, the first day I go in there to do this, I didn't know anything about Kingdom Hearts. I didn't play the game. I didn't know anything about it. I went in, and there was 6 Japanese producers and 6 guys from Disney in the booth. And I would do one line, and the engineer would come on the talkback, and he would go, just a minute, and they would talk amongst themselves for 5 minutes. And then he would come back and say, can you do that line a little slower? And I would do the line a little slower, and they go, just a minute. And they would talk amongst themselves for 5 or 10. Come back. Can you do that line a little faster? And I would do the line a little fast. So this went on all day, and I was like ready to jump off a cliff. We had a break, and the engineer came out, and I pulled him aside. I said, how did Christopher Lee put up with this? He said, oh, they did it to him once. And he said, all right, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this script from the top to the bottom, and then I'm going home. And I thought, how cool is that? You know?
Oh,
so I thought that was great. Yeah. So now I can do that. I've done 6 of them, so now I can do that. But, literally, seriously, after the first one, they left me alone, and they just, they just wanted to make sure I was doing it the way they wanted me to do it. But it was interesting because I did it the way they wanted me to do it, but the fans were not happy with it. So they, I listened to the fans. The fans said, we want him more vicious, so I made him more vicious. Now the fans like me. So.
I mean, it's really awesome, because when I think about it, I'm like, okay, so the first Kingdom Hearts that came out, I feel like you had your Hollywood cast doing a lot of voice work. And then when 2 Chain of Memories, and I lost count of how many sequels have come out, and prequels and prequels.
Yeah. I think I've done 6 of them now, like I said.
Yeah. So it's like, it seems
Which is great. Keep them coming as far as I'm concerned,
So when it comes to 3... what can we expect? And I know you probably have an NDA. I know you can't talk about a whole lot, but what can we expect from your portrayals?
Well, I can say this: it's going to be out in 2019.
Okay,
and I can say that because they've said that online, so I can actually say that. I can't tell you anything about what I've done or in the context of the game. So. You'll just have to wait and see. But it looks really good. The animation looks really good, and they're going to do a great job. And I know this is super anticipated, and it's literally for the last 5 or 6 years, every convention I went to, when's 3 coming out? When's 3 coming out? When's 3 coming out? When's 3? So, I mean, they're really stoked to have this come out. So I'm sure once it comes out, I hope the fans are really happy with it and like it. So,
I mean, I think we will be. It hasn't been a bad entry in the series so far. I mean, well, that's the surprising thing too. I remember when the first one came out, I didn't think it was a unique concept of Disney and Final Fantasy mashing together. Like I was like, okay, this is cool. I never would have thought it would have gotten to what it is now.
It's huge. I got to tell you a funny story. It was like a year or two ago. I went to what's the name of the anime convention in Chicago? Oh boy, I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me. But
okay.
Anyway, I was at this. It's a big convention there. It's a big anime convention. ASIN. It's called ASIN in Chicago. So I was at ASIN, and I had this young lady come up to me, and she said, "Hey, would you come to my Kingdom Hearts panel?" And I said, "Well, when is your Kingdom Hearts panel?" She said, "At midnight." I said, "Oh, well, I may be asleep by then, so I don't know. I can't promise you anything." I said, "But if I'm around, I'll come by." So anyway, I figured she'd have 15, 20 guys in this panel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to bed, and I'm wide awake, and I'm looking at the clock, and it's midnight. So I called my handler. I said, "Listen, can you get me over to this panel? They want me to pop in and say hi." She said, "Sure." So she takes me over there. I got dressed, obviously. She takes me over there, and I walk in, and there must have been 2,000 people in this room. I mean, It was unbelievable. And she stops. She goes, "Oh, my God, it's Richard Epcar." And the whole place goes nuts, like the Beatles just walked in. And it was unbelievable. And then and she wanted me to sit at the panel. I said, no, I just came in to say hi. I hope you guys are having fun, blah, 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 and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a line from the show, and they went nuts. And then I basically couldn't get out for an hour because everybody wanted my signature. So I was signing, everything. And it took me an hour to get through everybody. And then I finally left, and I thought, wow, well, I'm glad I did that because, I just thought, I just expected it to be some little silly panel, but it was ginormous. And it just blew me away at how popular this game is. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering, after 3, where do you go?
Well, hopefully to 4.
Yeah, keep the series going.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
I can't wait because I do one of the things I do on the side, aside from working at the hospital I work for as an analyst. I actually review games. So I work with Square and Sega and Capcom and Nintendo, and I'm on the PR list. So some of the stuff that they've sent me for Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm like, wow.
That's very cool. Very cool. Well, you see, you're more in the know than I am, really.
Oh man. So given that you've voiced the God of Thunder, Raiden, in Mortal Kombat series, what are some of your fun moments voicing the character and some of your challenges?
Well, the fun thing was, of course, when I got to be Raiden with the Joker, I got to talk to myself. That's always fun. I love that. But he's just really great. He's almost like everyone's dad. Raiden. He's always expounding all this wise advice to everyone and telling people what they should do, and trying to buck people up. And I mean, he really is like everyone's dad. A good dad. And I like that aspect of him. And he's just really fun. I love playing him. I love the character. It's one of the greatest gifts that I've ever received, to tell you the truth, to play this character. I just love playing this character, and I always, whenever I go in and do him, I just feel very, very fortunate to be portraying him. And I know that he's really important to this world that they've created. So I always take it very seriously, and he's just a wonderful character. I love doing him. I love working with the people from NetherRealm Studios. Are all wonderful. Dom, who directs me a lot of the time, is great. Amanda is another director that comes in, does a lot of stuff for them, and they've just been wonderful, and they're just great people to work with, and like I say, just great to be part of this. And also, this is something that it's kind of funny. I worked years ago. I worked on the Mortal Kombat movie with Christopher Lambert, and I did some voice work on that. And Ed also worked on, the guy who's the head of NetherRealm Studios.
Ed Boon.
Ed Boon.
Yeah.
He also worked on it and did some voices on it too. So we worked together on that movie, and it's just kind of funny. And Ed's the guy who, I guess he's the licensor of Mortal Kombat. But just to be part of something that I really loved, and this franchise, which is a really cool franchise, I think. To be part of it. I'm very fortunate. I'm part of the Transformer franchise, of Mortal Kombat, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil. I mean, there's so many, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, League of Legends. I mean, there's so many of these franchises that I'm part of. That's it's just really wonderful to be part of these things.
It was a real challenge for me to create like the promotional thumbnail for this podcast, because I was like, I there's no way I can put all the characters you voiced.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I was like, who do I put on there? That's why I put up the Joker, Raiden, Akuma, Geese. I was like, I want to put more, but I don't want to clutter it into one, too much of one area. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I know. It's a good problem to have, I guess, for me, huh?
Yeah. Oh, so I'm, and I know you probably can't answer this, but
yes,
are we going to be potentially seeing you or hearing you voice Raiden in the quote unquote Mortal Kombat 11?
Well, I can't really say.
I can't either.
But let me put it this way: I would be very disappointed if it wasn't for me.
You and me both.
Well, thank you.
So audience, if you guys are not familiar with NDAs, we just can't speak on certain things contractually. So
yes, an NDA stands for non-disclosure agreement. So basically, you're signing an agreement to not disclose what you're doing. So I can't talk about these games until they actually are released. So yeah, it makes it tough. It really it drives you nuts sometimes, because you're working on these incredible projects and you want to scream it to the moon. You know what I mean? And you can't tell anybody about it. It's really frustrating.
I know Michael T. Coleman, when I had him on, he was telling me that when Capcom did the reveal for Cody, and you could hear his voice, he's like, people were asking him, "Isn't that you?" And he's like, "I don't know."
I don't know, but it sure sounds like me, doesn't it?
Oh,
yeah, they get very, and the thing is, they get very upset if you do break your non-disclosure, and some people have actually gotten fired for doing that. So I don't want to lose a job over telling somebody something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, and you just have to kind of, stick to your agreement that you made with them.
Yeah, definitely. So you are now not only the voice of Street Fighter veteran Akuma, but also of SNK's legendary Geese Howard of Fatal Fury and King of Fighters fame. Yes. How was it being able to voice not only one, but two legendary villains?
I've done a lot of villains over my time, so yeah. I've done a lot of villains, a lot of heroes, and they're all really fun characters to do. Those characters were great. Akuma was somebody that I just took over in Street Fighter V. I did him in Street Fighter V. There was another actor doing him before that. Mm-hmm. But it was funny because I'd done a bunch of stuff in Street Fighter years ago. I was Honda in Street Fighter 2, And so I was, always looking to get back into that series, and hopefully I could do it again. And as fate would have it, they cast me as Akuma. So it's good. And Akuma's he's a great character. He's a lot of fun to do, and it's a little tough to do him because he's very gravelly. His voice, is very, what is it? The Master of the Fist. It's like,
Like, you will feel my wrath.
He'll kick your ass. But, it's funny. I would love to see like him and Raiden fight and see what would happen, or some of these other characters. I'd like to see some of my characters fight each other. It would be kind of interesting.
I mean, with the way that Bandai Namco is doing with Tekken, I can imagine it happening, because you've got like what is it, the latest character in Tekken 7? You've got Negan from Walking Dead in it. You've got Akuma. You've got Geese. You've got Final Fantasy characters. Like, Tekken is becoming the guest character fighter. So
yeah, that would be very cool. And although they haven't been dubbing those, have they?
No, they haven't. No.
Yeah, I would love it if they would, because then I could do Akuma, I could do Geese, I could do all those characters. It'd be great.
Because I was thinking about it. I was like, man, because when I saw the reveal for Geese, I was like, wait, I think that's Richard Epcar. That's the voice of God. so I saw
that's the guy who called me earlier and scared the crap out of me.
So like when I heard you voicing his character, and I was thinking, wait, but he's also the voice of Akuma. How come they're not using or allowing the English dub? And I kind of feel like that was a missed opportunity for them, because I would have loved to have seen it.
I think it's a hugely missed opportunity. I think if they're smart, they'll re-release the game with the English actors doing it.
Yeah, they really should. They definitely should do it.
I think they missed the boat on that deal.
And you're actually, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're the first or the second English voice actor for Geese Howard ever.
You would probably once again know more about that than I would. I don't know. I have no idea, but he's another one. He's a big one too, isn't he?
Yeah, because I think there was an anime movie in the early 90s, and that was the last time that we've ever had anyone do an English take on Geese Howard. So yeah, you're the second. So was it a challenge voicing Geese?
No, I don't think so. I think it was fun. I had a good time doing him, and how long ago did that come out? I'm trying to remember how long.
I think that was it. He released towards the end of last year.
Okay, all right. So it wasn't that long ago, actually. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was. You got to remember, I do so many. I work every day on something else, so it's it all blends together after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, so we're winding down to our last few questions. And my next one, I want to ask you of all the work that you've done over the years, and I know you answered this earlier with Dorothy, but have you ever had the opportunity of working with other voice actors, such as like Stephen Blum, Michael T. Coleman, Griffin Burns, or anyone?
Well, Steve Blum and I are good buddies, and we've known each other a long, long time, and we're pals, so I see him all the time. We got to work together on Legend of Korra for Nickelodeon, which was a lot of fun, and we got to do something in that show that I rarely get to do, and that's we get to work with a cast. That show was done. They animated it the old-fashioned way, which is the way they used to do it when they did the Flintstones and the Jetsons and all those old shows. They used to have all the actors in the room, and they would read. They would act off of each other, which is a real luxury today. And they would perform it, mostly like a radio play, and then they would animate the radio play. Oh, wow. And it was just a great way to work. And unfortunately, because of actors' schedules and everything, it's just really tough to get actors together to record like that. We were fortunate with Legend of Korra that we got to record like that. So I got to work with, J.K. Simmons and David Faustino and Janet Varney and all these incredible, wonderful people that we got to work together in the same room with and act off of, which was, such a lovely, lovely luxury. There was an animated series I was directing this last year for Technicolor, and I wanted to do it that way, but we just couldn't get all the actors together because they were all just very busy actors, and it was insane. It was hard enough to get them there one at a time to do it, let alone to record it, in the radio play style. So it's a wonderful thing if you can do it. I mean, one day I'll be on something that's ongoing like that. Like The Simpsons. I'm fairly certain they probably record it that way for that, but I'm not sure. I've never worked on The Simpsons, so I don't know. But I'm thinking that they probably do a radio play version of that, and that's the way they do it.
I can see like a lot of energy, like just bouncing off each of the actors, like just going back and forth, and it seems like that's a much more organic way than having to just sit in the booth and try to conceptualize how you should react to another person's lines. So
that's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. And obviously it's a better way to work. The trick is when you're in the booth by yourself, though, you have to imagine if you don't have the tracks. Now sometimes they have the tracks of the other actors, so you can react to the other actor as if they are there, because you're hearing them say their lines. But most of the time they do not. So you basically have to kind of read the line before your line and imagine the way they said it. But, it really depends on the way the actor delivers the line. You know what I mean? But that's where hopefully the director comes in. If you wander too far off of the way that he said it. I mean, because there's a lot of ways to interpret a line. And, that's why you need the director.
Yeah, definitely.
For example, let's say your line is, oh, hello, come in and sit down, okay? You're going to say that line different if you want just read. You're going to say that line different if your father just died.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it depends on what's going on in the context of the moment.
Yeah. That's very true. Wow, it gave me something to think about right there.
Yeah, there you go. I messed with your mind.
You did. Oh, man, I would love to have a podcast with you and Stephen Blum on. I feel like I would just be like, whoa, I got the voice of God and the voice of Shishio. What am I going to do?
Yeah, Steve's a great guy. He really is a wonderful guy. He's working all the time. He's really busy, so he's doing really well for himself.
Yeah, I know. I reached out to him a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, he's busy. Johnny Young Bosch, very, very busy.
Yeah.
Ruben Langdon, I'm like, I'd love to get you guys on, but yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some projects or conventions that you have in the works currently that you are allowed to, barring any NDAs, talk about or share?
Well, here's a good one coming up. We have SAC Anime, which is in Sacramento, and that's August 31st through September 2nd. And I'm going to be there with Ellen, and we're very excited to be back. This will be our second time at SAC Anime. It's a great convention if you've never been to it. We're going to be in November 2nd through the 4th. We'll be in YumaCon, which is in Detroit.
Okay.
And then November 10th through the 11th, I'll be at DerpyCon in Morristown, New Jersey.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and then that's all we have for this year. We have one booking already for 2019, which is Anime St. Louis, and that's just going to be me, and that'll be in 2019. But ones we have coming up is the end of this month at SAC Anime, which is a great one, and then in November we have the two November 2nd through the 4th at Anime Yumacon in Detroit, and November 10th through 11th, DerpyCon in Morristown, New Jersey.
Awesome.
So I would love to see you guys out there, and you can ask me your questions if we didn't cover anything that on the show. You can ask me questions that you have.
I mean, I'm definitely going to ask you this question. How tall are you?
Well, I'm 6'6".
Good Lord.
Yeah, I'm a big guy.
Because every picture I've seen of you, like when I was Googling, looking for like a picture for the thumbnail, I'm like, he's towering over everyone. How tall is he?
I know, and they really hate it too. It's like, they're always shoving me to the back. Get to the back, Richard. Get to the back. So it's one of those things you have no control over, but I enjoy it. I enjoy being tall. The only time I don't like it is when I'm flying, because the seats are so small and cramped. So that's not fun. But I enjoy being tall, and I'm happy I am.
See, I'm right now. I'm like, another person to make me feel short. I'm 6'2", and all my siblings are taller than me. Even my sisters, they're like 6'4" and taller.
Yeah, but you know what? 6'2" is like the perfect height. It really is. It is. It really is. And there's times, listen, I've lost parts on camera because I'm tall.
Really?
But, it's funny. When I first came out to L.A., people said to me, "You'll never work. You're too tall." And then I started working all the time, and they said, "Oh, you're working all the time because you're tall." So, you can't listen to any of that crap. But, just be happy with what God gave you, and, you make the most of it. We're all dealt a hand.
Yeah.
It's like in poker. We're all dealt a hand, and you just have to make the best of your hand. Do whatever you can to make the best of your hand, because everybody has good stuff and bad stuff, and everyone's dealing with something, and everybody has some situation that they have to work through, and you just do the best you can. That's all we can do.
Definitely, that's true. I'm actually, as of this week, I'm celebrating 2+ years cancer free. I had colorectal cancer.
Oh my God!
And I beat it.
Good for you. Good for you.
You.
Well, see. You're a tough son of a gun. That's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
That's a tough one too, isn't it?
Yeah. My dad and my one of my older brothers went through it. My dad went through it twice.
Oh my God. Oh boy.
I went through it 2015 to 2016. It was rough, but I didn't give up. That's one thing my parents put in me is you don't take anything lying down. You fight. So.
Well, good for you. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I lost my mom to cancer, which was it's a dreaded disease. And my brother actually had lymphoma, and he beat it. And he's gone on 10 years plus now that he's in remission. So that's great. Yeah. So congratulations to you. That's wonderful.
Thank you. I'm glad your brother beat it, and my condolences for your mother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a shitty disease, and I wish they would be spending more effort and energy on curing and preventing it.
Yeah, I agree. If they can find an alternative to just chemo, because chemo is just.
Yeah, it's got to be antiquated at this point,
Yeah. I guess my last question to you is, what advice would you give to fans in the audience here that are trying to audition not only for voice roles but for acting, or are sending in voice auditions? Like, what would you recommend? Like an agent or training?
Go to medical school.
Yeah.
No. Here's the deal. It's a very tough business, and it really has to be something you really, really want to do. Now, I always say to people, I think you should do what you love, because, our lives are short and it goes quick. And I've had a lot of people take jobs, or known a lot of people that have taken jobs that they don't want to take, but they do it to survive or to pay the bills, and they're miserable.
Yeah.
And then they get laid off anyway because they're downsizing the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's no guarantees in life. So my advice to everyone is just basically, if it's something you really love and you're good at, go for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to have some talent when it comes to acting. You have to, have some ability. If you're green and you don't really know what you're doing, you should take classes. You should learn. You should study. You should train like an athlete.
Yeah.
And even with the voice acting, you should, take all kinds of classes, and you should work with mics, and you should, read out loud every day is the best advice I can give to a voice actor. Because, as I said earlier, when we go in to do, 99% of the work that we do in anime or in games, you do not see the script ahead of time. So you have to cold read a performance. You have to know what you're doing when you jump in that booth, and you've got to bring it to life. So if you're bad at reading, then that's one thing you really have to be excellent at.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would read aloud every day. I would train. I would, do plays. I would study. I would take acting classes, but with legitimate people, because there's a lot of phony balonies out there, and you don't want to waste your time or money with those guys.
Yeah.
Look them up. Make sure they're legitimate people. And then, and only then, when you're competent and confident, that's when you start looking for an agent to represent you, not before. You don't want to go in when you don't know what you're doing. It's like, trying to get represented as a heart surgeon before you've gone to medical school. It's like, you don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to know what you're doing. So then you try to get an agent, but you continue to do auditions and go do plays and anything you can do to help yourself become a better actor. And that's the best advice I can give anybody. And just, keep doing it. Now, when I first came out to LA, I didn't know anybody. I sold my drum set. I had a drum set that my dad gave me, and I sold it for $300. So I had $300 in my pocket. Now that was a long time ago, but I drove out here. I didn't know anybody, and I've done really well. Is this going to happen for everybody? No. Is it going to happen for some people? Yeah, maybe even better than what I did. Who knows? It just depends on how good you are. Now, I'm a big believer in the work ethic. I think you'd really need to show up on time and do the work, and not get in everybody's way, and not step on anyone's toes, and be polite. And I think those things, if you do those things and you work hard and you have talent, you will have a career.
Definitely. And apply that, audience, to every aspect of your life. Yeah,
that's right. I think we're seeing less and less of that, unfortunately. We need to see more and more of that.
Yeah.
Because that's what really made this country great, is people working hard and doing a good job and taking pride in what they created and what they're working on. I think that pride has kind of gone away.
Yeah.
And I think we need to bring that back.
I agree. I definitely agree. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Mr. Epcar. Do you have anything you want to leave the audience with?
I just want to say hi to everyone. I thank you for if there's something I've done that you've enjoyed, I appreciate it. And please follow me on Instagram. I would really appreciate that. And I'm obviously on Facebook and Twitter and all that, but I really want people on Instagram, because I have a really small group on Instagram I'm trying to build up. Anyway, and you can feel free to, I'm very good about getting back to people. If you have questions or whatever, you want to hit me up on, on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, ask me a question. I'll be happy to answer it for you. And good luck. If this is something you want to pursue, good luck to you.
Yeah, and it's very true, people, because I reached out to him on Twitter. I did not expect him to respond, and he did. I was like, I checked my phone. I was like, wait, did Richard Epcar actually respond to me?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah, I don't understand these guys that just won't answer anybody. I don't know what that's all about, but whatever.
What's funny? Because I also do YouTube. Like, I do video game streams and different videos and whatnot, but that same mentality is very prevalent in YouTube. Where I'm a relatively small channel because there's really not many of us here in Hawaii that do YouTube. I'm probably one of 4. Yeah. And, I've only got so many, like 2,000 or so subscribers, but my podcast is significantly bigger than my YouTube. But when I reach out to other YouTubers like, hey, can I have you on my show? I'd like to interview you, or would you like to collab? They're like, no, you don't have enough subscribers. I'm like, you only have like 50 or so more than me. Yeah, you're too small for me to work with. So there's a lot of that on YouTube, which is it's very funny.
It's kind of ridiculous, I think, but just ignore them and move on to the next. That's all.
Yeah. That's all I do.
What part of Hawaii do you live in?
I live in Honolulu. I'm actually 5 minutes away from Waikiki. That's
okay.
Where I live.
Well, my wife and I, when we got married, we took our honeymoon in Maui, and we have not been back to the island since. And I would love to go back at some point and see it. So I'm hoping that we'll get invited to a convention there, but it doesn't seem like that's ever going to happen. So I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get back to.
I can round up some people to try and make this happen. I know people.
Well, that would be wonderful. We would love that.
Would definitely love to have you out here. I'd definitely love to meet you. I'm rarely ever in LA. Sometimes when I go there, I just go there for trainings. But
yeah,
it'd be an honor to meet you in person, and I'll see what I can do to round up, the community out here, because you have a strong fan base out here. You really do.
Oh, that's great. That's nice to know. That's really nice to know. Well, I'd love to go out there. I'd love to go back and see it. I'm sure it's changed a lot since I was there, but it was really sure beautiful when we went there, and I'd love to see it again.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll make sure to leave links to your social media outlets, from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook. I'll leave those in the description of this podcast. And,
okay, great.
Definitely, people, if you haven't already, make sure you go and follow him, Mr. Epcar, on... I keep calling you Mr. Epcar. I'm not sure if you're comfortable with me calling you Richard.
You can call me Richard. It's okay.
Okay. It's just the Samoan in me.
I actually prefer when you call me the voice of God, but that's okay.
Okay. Okay, everyone, make sure you go follow the voice of God on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up Richard Epcar, and there you go. Make sure you go through, you support him, let him know all the work he's done. If you appreciate it, definitely let him know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And this podcast will be up in a couple hours on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. And
wonderful.
I'm very much thinking this is going to be another one of the top shows. I mean, I think the last show I did, the last 2 ones I've done with Michael T. Coleman and Dorothy Fawn, they hit currently over 13 million downloads and listens. So
wow,
we're going to have the voice of God who's going to raise it up to, I'm seeing 40 million. So
and please send me the link too, and I'll promote it on my social media.
Definitely will do. All right, and that just about wraps up this episode. If you guys liked it, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you follow us on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova. If it's on iTunes, Google Play, or any other podcast outlets, just look up The Kasanova Podcast. And make sure you follow my guest, again, the voice of God, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
So long.
Did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova Podcast? Well, I hope you did. And if you did, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let us know what we can improve upon, what you liked, what you didn't like, and all that good stuff. And just make sure you always have a good time. That being said, this is your boy Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out, and I'll catch you on the next episode.